Hey guys, happy Monday, and it's time for Fundations. We're going to review some of our vowels today, and then we're going to review our trick words, and then I'm going to teach you a little bit about nonfiction and fiction books, which goes right along with our reading. O, octopus, ah. U, up, I, itch, eh. A, apple, ah. E, ed, eh. Great, so those are our vowels. And remember to be really careful with your middle vowel sounds because they can get really tricky. I know a lot of the students in my class get mixed up between that I and that E sound, so make sure you're tapping them out very carefully. All right, now we're going to practice some of our trick words. And trick words are words that you can't tap out. You just have to learn them. So let's go ahead and practice some. We've learned some of these, and we haven't learned some of these. So here we go. Or, for. And you can repeat them after I say them. Is, his. As, has. We, he, she, the, me, the, a, and, to, you, I, they, have, of, from, was, are, one, do, by, my. Excellent job. So those are our trick words. Those are just words that you need to memorize that you cannot tap out. The next thing I want to talk to you about is kind of interesting for Fundations. We're going to do an activity called story time. And usually during story time, we have Mama Echo and Baby Echo, and we tell you a story with those two characters. And I haven't really shared a story about Mama Echo and Baby Echo lately, but I did share a story last week called Codfish. And it was about a boy who caught a codfish in his net, and he fed the codfish to his cat. Raise your hand if you remember that story from last week. Oh, I see Justin remembers. Let me see who else. Emmy remembers. Dominic remembers. Oh, great job, Ethan. Ethan remembers. Great. Okay, so that story was a fiction story. It was made up. It was not a real story. I want to talk to you about the difference between a nonfiction book and a fiction book. Who remembers from reading what a nonfiction book is? Let me call on someone. Raise your hand if you know. Claire, what's a nonfiction book? Okay, let me hear. Okay, a nonfiction book is a book that is true. You're right. Good job. All right, and a fiction book. Who can tell me what a fiction book is? Anyone? I'm going to need a class list of Mrs. Brown's class and Mrs. Rincone's class. Let me think. Oh, Isla from Mrs. Rincone's class. Do you know what a fiction book is? You're right. It's a made-up story. It didn't really happen. It could happen, but it's just a made-up story. So that's the difference of a nonfiction and a fiction. Nonfiction is real. Fiction is made up. I want to read a story about a real fish today. And if you have this story at home, we were supposed to read Hello Fish, or we also were supposed to read Visiting the Coral Reef. So you could look those up on YouTube for read aloud, but make sure your mommies and daddies preview it first. I didn't have that book with me here I have it at school. So I did find a nonfiction book about fish, and there's just some sections of nonfiction information about fish in this book, but I'm still going to read it to you. And I want to do that today so you guys can see the difference of our fiction story, the codfish story, and a nonfiction story about fish. So I'm going to go ahead and get started reading this. Now, when I read it, I want you to think about any new facts that you learned. So let's go to the first fish in this A to Z Animals book. And the first fish is called the queen parrotfish. And I've never heard about this fish today, this fish on this page. So already I'm learning something new. So I didn't even know there was a fish called queen parrotfish. And it is a large coral fish. Beak face. The fish scrapes food from the rocks using its sharp beak-shaped teeth. Did anyone else have a new learning just there? Bryce, you did? I didn't know that the queen parrotfish had beak-shaped teeth either. Cool. The meat of parrotfish is poisonous to humans. That means that it's dangerous to us and it could make us sick. I didn't know that. Who else didn't know that? Lucy, did you learn something new there? Me too. Sleeping bag. The parrotfish sleeps inside a bubble of slime. Ooh, the slime wobbles when a fish gets too close. Yuck. Man, I learned a lot there. Let's see here. The next nonfiction fish page is the U page. Ooh. And it's called the unicorn fish. Whoa. Now, I did know there was a fish called the unicorn fish only because my daughter's obsessed with unicorns. So we learned all about unicorn stuff. It's a spiny fish from the coral reefs again. Fleshy horn. The fish's horn is a long, bony spine that grows from the front of the skull. I think that's just like a real unicorn, but I'm not sure. Tail spikes. Two sharp spikes point forward from either side of the base of the fish's tail. Unicorn fish eat tiny animals floating in the water. Ooh, I didn't know that. Harper, did you learn something new? I see you raising your hand. That's cool. And then the last nonfiction fish page I have is the X-ray fish, which I think that we've actually learned about this fish in my class anyway before. And it is a river fish from South America. So this fish lives somewhere different. The other two fish we just learned about live in the coral reef. But this fish lives it's a river fish from South America. And this fish is see-through. I could have guessed that by its name. The fish's scaly skin is almost see-through, so you can see inside the body, just like looking at an X-ray. Okay, anyone have a new learning there? I don't see anyone raising their hand. The fish's skin looks golden in the strong sunlight. Who learned something new there? Ooh, I see some people. Leo, are you learning something new? I see you raising your hand. Insect hunter. The X-ray fish lives in schools or groups of fish. So, very cool. So that is an example of a nonfiction book about fish. And then our fiction book is the codfish story that I told you last week. Kindergarten friends, that's actually it for Fundations today. We just did a little story time, and we practiced noticing the difference of fiction and nonfiction. I hope you had a great time, and we will touch base with you for more Fundations on Tuesday. Bye, kindergartners.